True friend steps in at just the right moment. Having close friends brings a sense of calm and security. Knowing they're always by your side gives you strength. I take pride in my friendships, and whenever I tell others about my friends, I feel a deep sense of joy and pride. Friends are my source of pride. But just as the best medicine is the one that was never used, the best friends are those who never had to help me. If a friend never needed to assist me throughout life, it shows that I was capable enough to handle my own problems. Not needing help from a friend over the course of a lifetime is a great honor. I will keep some medicines in reserve, but I hope I never have to use them. I will treasure friendships, but I hope I never have to rely on them. Similarly, I wish to always be able to help others and benefit them, but I hope never to need others' help myself. After all, experiencing loss is the greatest gain, while seeking advantage is the greatest loss. In this way, I can ensure my life has no deficits, and I will be able to leave this world peacefully with a clear conscience. 生命的寄托, the sustenance of life. 写法. Laozi, the sage, once said, "He who values his body as the world may be entrusted with the world. He who loves the world as he loves his body may be entrusted with the world." This means that the world can be entrusted to those who cherish the lives of others as much as they cherish their own. The idea of entrusting the world might seem far removed from the lives of ordinary people, so let us reflect on where we place the trust for our own lives. The most precious thing in the world is life. Likewise, the most valuable part of human existence is also life. If life requires a foundation, where should we place our trust for our lives? In what or whom should we entrust our lives? Guan Yu and Zhang Fei entrusted their lives to Liu Bei, just as Liu Bei and King Wu of the Zhou dynasty entrusted their lives to Zhuge Liang and Jiang Ziya. Historically, the common people of China often entrusted their lives to wise rulers. While this kind of trust is admirable, it is also illusory. Some people place their lives in the hands of their spouses, wives relying on their husbands, and husbands relying on their wives. This kind of dependence is risky. Some devote their lives to their immediate families, believing that as long as their family endures, so does their life. But if the family falls apart, so does their existence. Some people place their trust in wealth, toiling from dawn till dusk for money, believing that only wealth offers security, thinking that once they have money, all problems can be solved. Others pour their lives into their jobs, companies, or personal achievements, focusing all their efforts on career advancement, company growth, and professional success. However, when their status is lost, their company goes bankrupt, or their career declines, their sense of life fades too. Some place their lives in the hands of their mentors, while others attach themselves to political parties, religions, ethnic groups, or nations. They cry out for their master's honor or sacrifice their lives for their party, religion, ethnicity, or nation. This is life's confusion. To place your trust in a spouse, in others, in money or power, in family, political parties, religions, ethnic groups, or nations is to place it in something as fragile as a mirage in the sky. Such trust will inevitably lead to disappointment, for these things may disappear at any moment. How can we entrust our precious lives to people or things that are doomed to pass away? Floods can rise to the heavens, but they are temporary. Enterprises may flourish, but they too can vanish like smoke. Even the mightiest empires have been buried in the ruins of history, and once great figures have been forgotten in the shifting tides of time. We, as beings of life, cannot place our existence in things that are not eternal. There is one thing, however, that is eternal. From the distant past to the boundless future, it remains constant and selfless. Its form may change, but its essence never does. Whether in the past, present, or future, if we are willing, we can always rely on it. This is where we should entrust our lives. That eternal thing is the Tao. It is what we have always longed for. Because it is eternal, when we entrust our lives to the Tao, our lives can become eternal too. What is the Tao? The Tao is the consciousness of the greatest creator, the spirit of the greatest creator. To entrust your life to the Tao means to entrust it to the consciousness and spirit of the greatest creator. To put it simply, we should entrust our lives to the greatest creator. Only Christ Jesus and the Buddha Shakyamuni have truly valued the world and loved all life. They gave up everything, dedicating their entire lives to the suffering masses. We can entrust our lives to the greatest creator by listening to the teachings of Jesus and Shakyamuni, which will guide us in realizing this goal. Shakyamuni devoted his life to creating a vessel for eternal life, and if we board this vessel, we are sure to reach the ideal shore of existence. Jesus Christ, with his precious blood, has shown us the direction of life. Only those who follow the will of my Father in heaven can enter the kingdom of heaven and attain eternal life. This is where we place the trust of our lives. By boarding the vessel created by Shakyamuni and following the direction illuminated by Jesus Christ, we can draw closer to the greatest creator. Closer, ever closer. 悟道、求道、正道、得道、守道. The path of understanding, seeking, realizing, attaining, and upholding the way. Xiefeng. Understanding, seeking, realizing, attaining, and upholding the way, Tao, are the paths to the sublimation of life. Understanding the way means perceiving the laws governing the universe and the origins of all things, the principles behind phenomena, and the mysteries of the universe, space-time, life, and life, referring to the deeper, spiritual essence of existence, as opposed to everyday physical life. Seeking the way with this understanding, guiding one to form a worldview, philosophy of life and set of values. Realizing the way involves repeatedly verifying, through personal practice, whether one's worldview, life philosophy, and values align with the way's laws and evolutionary processes. Attaining the way means that one has comprehended the profound mysteries of the universe, life, and has established an unshakable and correct worldview, life philosophy, and values. Upholding the way means living and practicing according to these established principles, regardless of life's changes. Whether the external world is harmonious or chaotic, one remains steadfast in faith and belief. As the saying goes, stand firm through countless trials, no matter where the winds blow, and let the storm rage. Remain calm, as if sitting securely in a boat. Jesus' teaching that only those who endure to the end will be saved captures the essence of upholding the way. Life's journey is sometimes filled with sunshine and smooth sailing, but at other times it's stormy and filled with obstacles. At times, one feels as though they are riding on clouds in sheer bliss, while at other times, they face hardships and struggles. Some things come effortlessly, while other efforts end in vain. Even siblings born to the same parents may find their fates diverge wildly. University graduates from the same school may experience either smooth sailing in their careers or constant setbacks. Those adorned in silk and brocade are not necessarily the ones who raise the silkworms. A 3-year-old might sit on the throne, while warriors die far from home. A neighbor may enjoy lavish feasts and grand parties, while one's own home endures hardships and desolation. Is it fate? Is it luck? Who controls the destiny of this vast earth? Life's journey is full of twists and turns. Why do we say, man plans, but heaven decides? Meaning that while people can make their own plans, the ultimate outcome is determined by a higher power or the forces of fate beyond human control. Where is heaven, and how does it relate to my destiny? Such contemplation is the beginning of understanding the way. When one continuously contemplates the universe and its mysteries, clarity will one day come. Just as wood rubbed together creates fire and heat can cause water to boil, the heavenly bodies follow their paths, and human life operates by cause and effect. No wind, no waves. Fortune and misfortune are the results of human actions. The endless changes in the world reflect deeper laws. It's easy to go with the flow, but hard to swim against it. A life of confusion leads to futile struggles, while clarity brings contentment. Acceptance of things as they are avoids disaster, while following the natural flow brings joy. Rather than seeking fame and fortune, seek to live with a clear conscience, in harmony with the heavens, earth, and the times. Those who seek divinity and truth find peace of mind. This is seeking the way. How did the universe begin? Does the greatest creator exist? Is there an invisible hand guiding the evolution of all things? Who is this being, and what is my relationship to it? In the debate between creationism and evolution, who is right? Is it the theologians or the scientists? We must align with the laws of heaven. But where can these laws be found? Everything is connected. How does this interaction occur? The balance of yin and yang is truth. But where is the non-material world? Is death the end of life? Or is it a new beginning? What is the evidence? What should be the primary goal of life? How do we prioritize our pursuits? How should we best manage our relationships with others, with society, and with nature? Those who explore these questions are engaged in realizing the way. Rope saws through wood, and water drops where away stone. In time, progress occurs naturally, just as fruit ripens and falls when ready. Among 1,000 searches, I suddenly turned back and found her in the dim light. Diligence is always rewarded, and the gods favor the sincere. Suddenly, a flash of enlightenment connects everything. A pure heart invites celestial beings, and the universe becomes clear. One sees the mysteries of the greatest creator, glimpses the kingdom of heaven, and realizes that life is a journey, and the universe is infinite. One can now ascend to heavenly realms and reach the shores of bliss, living in eternal joy. This is the sign that you have attained the way. Day and night alternate, and demons, gods, and Buddhas are always close at hand. In yin, there is yang. In yang, there is yin. The higher the mountain, the greater the peril. The deeper one dives, the greater the pressure. There is no free lunch, and precious treasures are never cheap. The path to eternal life is narrow. One must give up attachments to this life to attain the divine. One must let go of the ego to cross the river of life. After attaining the way, challenges and temptations are ever present. Will you hold your ground until the end? If you can, you will emerge from the darkness into light. But a moment's retreat can lead to failure and wasted efforts. Attaining the way is easy. Upholding it is difficult. Always hold the hand of the greatest creator, listen to the teachings of Jesus and the Buddha, and follow closely behind the guide, lest the devil mislead you. This is what it means to uphold the way. This is the path to the sublimation of life, understanding, seeking, realizing, attaining, and upholding the way. John 180 度看风景如何? How about turning 180 degrees to see the scenery? Xiefeng. The troubles we face in life all stem from our own thoughts. When we can't figure things out, it's because we're tied up by mental knots. All suffering comes from our own mistaken perceptions, and every misfortune is of our own making. Ultimately, we are the ones responsible for our confusion, sorrow, and misfortune. When we reach a dead end, why not turn 180 degrees and see how the scenery changes? Very few people have never had suicidal thoughts. I've had them multiple times. Every time I felt like giving up, I'd think, I refuse to commit suicide. Let's see what happens next. With that shift in thinking, things would change. The next day, the sun would rise in the east again, the earth would keep spinning, flowers would still bloom, and life remained full of beauty. When someone I loved dearly left me and I felt heartbroken, I'd think, well, now I'm free. Reading a story without a period can be exhausting, and wandering endlessly in a valley prevents you from seeing the beauty at the mountain's peak. The mountains may not move, but the water does. Set your sights on the next goal and, wow, it's even more exciting than the last one. Chase it. Thinking about divorce? Go ahead. Who's afraid of whom? Without potassium fertilizer, can I still grow yellow carrots? Without your slim arms, do you think I, a strong mountain, would ever run out of firewood? At worst, I'll guard my empty house alone. If no one cares about me, that's even better. Maybe I don't want them to. Boss, you fired me? Fine. Just wait. Fortune changes. 6 years from now, you'll be working for me as my deputy manager. Child, you think your parents are a burden now? Fine. We, your parents, are here to repay our debts to you. Now that the debt is settled, we won't worry about each other anymore. Even if we die in the fields, who cares if crows take our bodies or wolves devour them? We'll ascend to the celestial realms. Let's see how you'll manage then. You say God wants to punish me? Kid, don't threaten me. Let God come speak to me directly. Slandering the Buddha sends you to hell, you say? Have you ever seen the Buddha? Just returned from hell? How else would you know? You're possessed by a ghost, you say? No, I think you are the ghost. Can smoking, drinking, eating meat, and having a sex life prevent me from becoming a celestial being? Don't be ridiculous. True celestial beings live without restrictions. You're filled with hate and want revenge? Not many people stay clean while rolling in donkey dung. A great man has a big heart. Let it go. The one who doesn't seek revenge is the true man, a glowing hero. You think my shoes are ugly? Comrade, many people don't even have shoes to wear. You think I'm unattractive? Sir, being unattractive is not important. Look at those with disabilities. They're much worse off. You say I'm disabled? Dear, even though my body is disabled, my mind is healthy. Look at all those able-bodied people who commit suicide, go to jail, or live in misery, unable to eat or sleep. So, who's truly disabled? You say you eat better than me? I don't believe you. Show everyone your poop, and let's see if it proves you eat better. You say you're more fashionable than me? I don't believe you. Take off all the metal around your neck and ears, wash your hair and face, and let's see how you look without clothes. You say you're richer than me? I don't believe you. Let's measure how much larger your sleeping space is compared to mine. You say you have more power and status than I do? I don't believe you. Let's meet again in 100 years and see. You claim to be more famous than I am? I don't believe you. Let's take a magnifying glass and find out where your fame lies. You say you own a lot? Maybe so, but let's see who worries about bills at the end of the month. Let's see who sleeps more soundly. Worried because your child didn't get into college? We don't need to compare our weaknesses to other strengths. Comparison between people only causes frustration. Let's compare health, filial piety, stability, and the suicide rates of college graduates versus ordinary people. Let's see who lives a more peaceful, harmonious life. Your husband is cheating and you're upset? Let him cheat. Let him fly away. Let's see how far he can go. Besides, there are no men who don't cheat. Just make do with him. Your wife is having an affair and you're angry? Pull out the radish. The pit remains. As long as her conscience is still there, just make do with her. In short, when you find it hard to figure things out, try shifting your perspective and see how it looks from another angle. Of course, if you insist on overthinking and driving yourself into a dead end, you'll only end up suffering in silence. 转时气质登堂入室. Transform consciousness and abandon wisdom. Entering the hall of life. Xiefeng. Entering the vast garden of Buddhism, the myriad of terms and concepts can leave one overwhelmed. To the average person, it seems profound and incomprehensible. To the enlightened, it feels tedious and convoluted. To philosophers, it becomes a playground for manipulating concepts, while for scholars of religion, it provides rich material for writing papers as they wander through a maze of ideas. Buddhism speaks of transforming consciousness into wisdom. Consciousness refers to the 8 types: eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, mind consciousness, manas consciousness, and alaya consciousness. Wisdom includes 4 types: the wisdom of accomplishing deeds, the wisdom of subtle observation, the wisdom of equality, and the wisdom of the great perfect mirror. In Buddhism, the 8 types of consciousness include sensory and mental awareness, representing different levels of perception, while wisdom refers to a higher level of understanding and insight. If we focus on explaining these terms in detail, it would be like trying to catch the moon in water or pick flowers from a mirror. Laozi advises us to abandon sagacity and discard intelligence, and Buddhism calls for transforming consciousness into wisdom, which can be understood as changing one's mindset or perspective, and letting go of excessive intellectualization in favor of spiritual awareness. I emphasize transforming consciousness, abandoning wisdom, and entering the hall of life. The vast texts of Buddhism ultimately revolve around just 2 words: transformation of consciousness. Simply put, it means changing one's mindset. More elaborately, it means shifting awareness, and profoundly, it means sublimating the non-material structure of human life to that of a celestial being. A person's life is filled with worries. Why? Because they do not have a correct understanding of life and life. The only way to free oneself from these worries is to transform one's consciousness. For example, viewing an enemy as a benefactor, Instead of harboring resentment, consider that even those we perceive as enemies can teach us important lessons and offer opportunities for personal growth. Seeing death as another leap in life, or recognizing marriage as a primary source of distress are all examples of transforming consciousness. Buddhism identifies 5 afflictions, known as the 5 poisons: greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and jealousy. Greed is indulging in desires. Anger is resentment and fury. Ignorance is obsession with certain matters or teachings. Arrogance is pride, disrespect, vanity, and stubbornness. And jealousy is doubting the wise, scorning science, doubting everything, and envying those better than oneself. In reality, the causes of suffering extend far beyond these 5 poisons. There are at least dozens more. Concepts like bringing glory to the nation, saving humanity, serving the people wholeheartedly, dedicating oneself until death, becoming a celestial being or Buddha, maintaining peace, achieving supreme enlightenment, implementing democracy to overthrow tyranny, contributing to the party, bringing honor to one's ancestors, spreading religious teachings, and ushering in the era of Life-Genuine, all lead to suffering. Even compassion and sympathy can cause distress. I advocate for unconventional thinking. From this perspective, the poisons mentioned earlier can be seen as joys. For instance, greed. Greedily absorbing knowledge brings joy, and the desire to write extensively lifts one's spirits. Ignorance. Being enchanted by a lover's soul or tenderness brings delight, and delving into the mysteries of life provides a sense of soaring through time and space. Ideas like ushering in the era of Life-Genuine can make one feel extraordinary and free. By shifting perspectives, what was once considered poison transforms into nectar, and joy becomes a fleeting intoxication of the mind, like the hemlock wine that numbs consciousness for a moment. In my view, the best way to alleviate suffering is to treat life as a game. Life is but a dream. Don't cling to anything. Treat everything as a game. If it's fun, play it. If it's not, just walk away. No one is responsible for me, and I am responsible for no one. Treating life as a game doesn't mean disregarding its importance, but rather embracing flexibility and detaching from rigid expectations. Buddhism teaches us to transform suffering into wisdom. However, there is an issue here. Wisdom is neutral. It doesn't necessarily embody truth, goodness, or beauty, nor does it always lead to positive outcomes. How about Hitler's wisdom? Or the wisdom of corrupt officials, mob leaders, and cult leaders? Jesus warned us to be cautious of those with wisdom, and Laozi's advice to abandon sagacity and discard intelligence was not without reason. The 3 realms exist solely in the mind. All dharmas are mere consciousness. All consciousness must serve the self. When consciousness, understanding, and awareness binds one's true nature, shackles the spirit, and brings suffering, one must engage in unconventional thinking and shift 180 degrees. For example, if the belief to be unfilial is to have no descendants troubles you, realize that this world is not a good place, and rather than having children to suffer here, it's better to give birth in paradise. If your affair causes distress because it has been exposed, think, I love what I love. I enjoy what I enjoy. I express my humanity without regret. An affair shows I have feelings. Without feelings, heaven shows no sympathy. In 100 years, we'll all be buried under grass. Life leaves no regrets. Wisdom is a product of human thought, not the source of spirituality. Greed can cloud wisdom, and too much wisdom can confuse the heart. The more wisdom one has, the more lost they become. It is better to abandon wisdom and revere spirituality. Spirituality is the gateway to life, and the non-material structure of life is its inner sanctum. Transform consciousness, abandon wisdom, awaken spiritual awareness, and you can enter the hall. You will then be free to roam the infinite mysteries of life and experience the vast expanse of existence. Are you still troubled? 同于道者道亦乐得之. One who is in harmony with the Tao likewise delights in him. Xiefeng. All things follow their kind. All people follow their hearts. All hearts follow their spirits, and all spirits follow their masters. This is the way of the universe. What belongs to gods returns to gods. What belongs to demons returns to demons. What belongs to Buddhas returns to Buddhas. What belongs to devils returns to devils. What belongs to humans returns to humans. And what belongs to ghosts returns to ghosts. This is the natural order of things. Those destined for heaven go to heaven. Those destined for hell go to hell. And those of the human world remain in the human world. The heavenly net is vast and all-encompassing, loose yet never missing anything. Those who align with the Tao delights in them. Those who align with virtue delights in them. Those who align with thieves delight in them. Those who align with greed delights in them. Those who align with masters delight in them. Those who align with servants delight in them. Those who align with celestial beings delight in them. Those who align with ghosts delight in them. Whatever one aligns with will gladly accept them. The human world serves as a transit station for life from both higher and lower realms, which is why everything exists here. Gods, Buddhas, celestial beings, humans, as well as devils, demons, monsters, and ghosts. These beings, each fulfilling their roles, come to the human world to guide their respective souls back to where they belong. Those who can become gods are as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. Those who can become Buddhas are as few as morning stars. Those who can become celestial beings can be counted on one hand. Those who can become humans are abundant and visible everywhere. Those who can become devils are as sparse as desert plants. Those who can become demons are 1 in 100. Those who can become monsters are widespread. And those who can become ghosts are shockingly numerous. As night falls, cows return to their stalls, sheep to their pens, birds to their nests, and beasts to their lairs. The great cosmic adjustment of life has begun. What belongs to the greatest creator returns to the greatest creator. What belongs to Caesar returns to Caesar. What belongs to emperors returns to emperors. What belongs to temples returns to temples. Now is the swift harvest period, and messengers from all realms are working to gather their respective crops. The computer network has become the primary means for this rapid collection. Those who love money will be claimed by money. Those who love power will be claimed by power. Those who love pleasure will be claimed by pleasure. Those who love fame will be claimed by fame. Those who love spiritual matters will be claimed by spirits. Those who love material things will be claimed by possessions. Thieves will be claimed by their stolen goods. And those who indulge in desires will be claimed by their lusts. At the busy crossroads of life, some cry, some laugh, rushing around without knowing where they're going. When the moment of truth arrives, all will become clear. Those with supreme love will ascend to super celestial beings. Those with ultimate goodness will ascend to Buddhas. Those with supreme joy will ascend to deity celestial beings. Those with supreme health will ascend to land celestial beings. Those with supreme kindness will ascend to human celestial beings. Those with supreme loyalty will ascend to nobility. Those who are filial will be reborn with great blessings. Those who are impartial will return to the human path. Those who accumulate virtue will be reborn wealthy. Those with muddled minds will descend into the animal world. Those who are indifferent will descend into the plant world. Those with malice will fall into the ghost world. Those who are domineering will descend into the frozen hell. Those who are cruel will descend into the inflamed hell. Sang San Rua Soi. The highest goodness is like water. Xiefeng. Water nourishes all things without competing with them. It cleanses dirt, purifying all things, yet does not seek the highest place. Water takes the shape of its container, whether square or round, helping others without complaint. It transforms into clouds, soaring across the sky, indifferent to mountain peaks or valleys, plains or deserts, making its home everywhere without regret. Water is soft and humble. It flows when it can, rests when needed, sings when it should, and remains silent when appropriate. It changes form endlessly but never departs from its essence. In motion or stillness, it always returns to its source. The highest goodness is like water. Water is close to the Tao, embodying its qualities. Those who seek goodness should learn from water. Those who pursue the Tao should learn from water. Life comes from the Tao and returns to the Tao. Since the Tao shapes both my body and nature, I should fully express my inner light, dedicating myself to my parents, children, siblings, society, and nature. Give without expecting anything in return. Help others cleanse the dust from their hearts with sincerity and love. Let others benefit and willingly take the lower position. Whether dealing with benefactors or enemies, acquaintances or strangers, as long as it brings good to others, help them without judging their faults or mistakes. If wronged or misunderstood, so be it. Just fulfill your responsibilities without complaint. After giving, don't focus on whether or not you receive anything in return, because we trust that the Tao does not shortchange anyone. Water's nature is cool and gentle. Though it sometimes flows with mud and sand, its purity remains. When stirred, it becomes murky, but that's no problem. Once still, it quickly returns to its pure nature. People in society are the same, sometimes caught in confusion or mixed with the mundane. The wise may be mistaken for the foolish or worldly, but it's no matter. When the turbulence subsides, as long as we are grateful to the greatest creator, revere the greatest creator, life, and nature, and walk the path of the greatest creator, the dirt that stains us will soon be washed away, and our pure nature will re-emerge. Rigid things break easily, and what is strong eventually ages. Tender willow branches sway gracefully with the wind without losing their beauty. The soft branches don't easily break under the weight of snow. A sword may slice through water, but the soft water does not die. Mountains may crumble, but rivers and seas are not easily severed. The soft overcomes the hard, while the hard struggles to conquer the soft. A dam may block water, but eventually, water will break through. Thus, expressing gentleness often benefits both oneself and others. Who can destroy water? Who can truly harm water? Who can live without water? Who does not depend on water? The highest goodness is like water. If a person can be like water, they will be one with the Tao and enjoy an endless, flowing existence. 上至无形, the highest wisdom is formless. 谢feng. Incomparable giving is superior to giving treasures, even if they were as numerous as the sands of the Ganges. This was said by the Buddha Shakyamuni. Blessed are those who store treasures in heaven, who serve the greatest creator with gentleness, compassion, and a pure heart, for their reward in heaven is great. This was said by Christ Jesus. By the existence of things, we profit. By the non-existence of things, we are served. The wise of ancient times practiced the way. They were subtle, profound, and unfathomable. The good traveler leaves no tracks, the good speaker makes no blunders, the good reckoner needs no counting rods, the good closer requires no bolts, yet none can open what he has closed. The good binder needs no ropes, yet none can untie what he has bound. This was said by Laozi. Consciousness creates reality and holographic consciousness, which suggests that everything is interconnected, and this interconnection drives the movement of the universe, rotates the universe. This might have been said by Xie Feng. The skilled swordsman carries no sword. Those who appear still and unassuming can drive away armies without fighting. No one dares to touch a wire charged with 1,000 volts of electricity due to its invisible potential. True experts conceal their abilities. Much like barking dogs don't bite, noisy people online achieve nothing. A beautifully embroidered pillow may look good, but inside, it's filled with straw or bran. Some scientists' minds can rival a million-strong army. A mountain need not be high to be famous if it holds a celestial. Water need not be deep if it has a dragon. No matter how curved your eyebrows are, how red your lips are painted, or how much platinum dangles from your ears, true grace will not shine through. No matter how much money you have in the bank, how good your car is, or how impressive your bodyguards are, true grace cannot be shown. No matter how many books line your study or how brightly the flowers bloom on your windowsills, even if you drink the finest tea, you won't utter words of wisdom. Sparrows can sometimes fly higher than eagles, yet they remain sparrows. There's no escaping it, because the highest wisdom is formless. Some entertain themselves with birds, some with money, some with sports, and others with social interactions. Some play games, others bungee jump. Some play with cars, others with power. But none of these can compare to playing with thoughts, for for the highest wisdom is formless. Some people decorate their bedrooms, some package themselves, some put on shows, others focus on image building. Some fuss over hairstyles, others over brand names. Some try to appear profound, while others work hard to show their depth. Rather than all this, it is better to refine and adorn your heart, for the highest wisdom is formless. Some rush to famous landmarks, some exhaust themselves traveling between mountains and rivers. Some travel great distances to watch a game, while others dream of going to the barren moon just for a look. Why run around? The most beautiful scenery is found in consciousness, for the highest wisdom is formless. Some people bring toys home from the store for their children. Some force their kids to learn piano, painting, dancing, or martial arts. Some meticulously dress their children, while others wear themselves out worrying about their children's degrees, status, marriages, and families. Instead of this, it's better to help children develop kind and loving hearts, for the highest wisdom is formless. Some build temples, some make Buddha statues. Some kill sheep for sacrifice, while others climb mountains to burn incense and bow their heads. Some recite prayers with little thought. Why all the trouble? The Buddha resides within the heart. Calm your mind and sincerely worship the Buddha within you. Let yourself become a Buddha and help your parents, children, neighbors, friends, and colleagues become Buddhas. This brings far greater merit, for the highest wisdom is formless. Some carefully select burial sites. Some sincerely invite feng shui masters to plan auspicious grounds. Some pay attention to the azure dragon, white tiger, and black tortoise. While some scheme day and night for sudden wealth, you do better to cultivate your heart as an auspicious place. A good heart creates good feng shui. A bad heart creates poor feng shui, for the highest wisdom is formless. Some are ignorant, some are clever. Some are born naturally beautiful, while others are born ugly. Some are born into wealth, while others struggle to survive in the cold. Some become famous with a song, while others labor in laboratories for years, accomplishing nothing. Some live long and die peacefully. Others die young, cut down by illness in their prime. What can be done? The highest wisdom is formless. It cannot be ignored. The power of the Tao is infinite, and the power of the law is boundless, yet we cannot see it because it is formless. Some have no worries about food and clothing yet frown all day, while others, with only a thin piece of land, smile all day. The Prophet Muhammad told us, true wealth is found within the soul. But where is this richness in the soul? We cannot see it, for it is formless. Lesser wisdom is trapped by form. Middle wisdom is caught up in busyness. Greater wisdom may seem foolish to others, but the highest wisdom is formless. Lesser wisdom busies itself with planning systems. Middle wisdom refines laws and regulations. Greater wisdom is concerned with spiritual civilization, while the highest wisdom roams freely in the world of the spirit. After eating a pancake, munching on sunflower seeds, drinking a cup of tea, and writing this article for Chapter of Wisdom, I strategize from within and triumph from afar, taking in all the beauty of the world. Celestial beings in the heavens cast flirtatious autumn glances. How enchanting! Dayform celestial. 思维惯性的危害. The harm of thought inertia. 邪风. Inertia is the property of an object to maintain its state of constant motion or rest unless acted upon by an external force. Just as objects have the nature to maintain their original state of motion, human thought also has the nature to sustain its existing state of consciousness. Whether it's the inertia of objects or thought, both have many harmful effects. A car moving at high speed, when subjected to emergency braking, will continue to slide forward due to its inertia. This inertia can sometimes lead to disaster. In today's rapidly changing world, people's thoughts and consciousness, due to thought inertia, tend to cling tightly to outdated ideas, instinctively rejecting the emergence of new thoughts. This inability to shift consciousness in a timely manner leads not only to personal mental anguish, but also becomes a stumbling block for civilization, turning into a killer of the new era. Let's examine a few phenomena that illustrate the harm of thought inertia. Over 20 years ago, Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping proposed, "Let some people get rich first." He advised the entire party and nation not to get entangled in debates over socialism versus capitalism, but to focus all efforts on economic development. Over the past 20 years, practice has proven that Deng Xiaoping's philosophical perspective of it doesn't matter whether a cat is black or white. As long as it catches mice, it's a good cat, has a correct side. This represents new ideas and ways of thinking. However, many individuals, constrained by decades of communal living and the pursuit of common prosperity, not only failed to actively shift their thinking or participate in economic activities, but also rejected Deng Xiaoping's approach both verbally and psychologically. What was the result? As the tides of the times surged forward, those shackled by thought inertia were left behind, while those who could quickly adapt their thinking emerged as leaders in the market economy. They not only became prosperous but also continually enhanced their cultural literacy and began to excel in various fields, including culture and politics. Meanwhile, those heavily influenced by old thoughts and concepts developed strong resistance and became psychologically unbalanced, watching as more and more people around them grew wealthy. As the trend continued, their mindset became increasingly unbalanced, leading to constant complaints or engaging in corruption and theft, disregarding all else in their pursuit of money. When people try to maintain their original way of thinking due to inertia, conflicts and contradictions arise. Those who adapt their thinking in response to external forces represent the progressive forces of the time and will thrive. Those who resist and exhibit excessive inertia, changing their thoughts too slowly, are the forces of backwardness and are bound to fail. After the Tiananmen Square protests in 1989, most students quickly adapted their thinking and redirected their time and energy into other areas. In contrast, some students, due to their strong thought inertia, remained oblivious for a long time, wasting over a decade of their youth in ideological struggles. Their thinking became rigid, unable to tolerate any dissent, while the times had already left them behind, and yet they clung stubbornly to their beliefs, a sad and pitiful state. After Falun Gong was banned in mainland China, some practitioners quickly adjusted their thinking, abandoning their practices and distancing themselves from the organization, exploring deeper realms of spirituality and maintaining balance in their family and work life. However, other practitioners, due to deep-seated thought inertia, found their foundations crumbling, their potential fading, and their opportunities slipping away irretrievably. It was like trying to hatch an egg that had already broken, and crying was futile, yet they still waited hopelessly for something to change. Contemporary youth are flexible in their thinking and adept at enjoying life. The constraints of traditional worldviews, values, and marriage concepts are diminishing for them. The rising divorce rate is a sign of societal progress. However, many still live within old thought patterns, lamenting that people's hearts are not what they used to be, and the moral standards of society have declined. Yet, they can do nothing but watch the flowers fall, adding unnecessary worries to themselves. Cars have been invented, yet people still reminisce about horse-drawn carriages. A phone call can resolve issues from 1,000 miles away, yet people still embark on long journeys to meet in person. New ways of living save time and effort, yet people insist on doing everything themselves, failing to recognize the benefits of cooperation. Renting a home can be better than buying. Mobility is preferable to stubbornness. Change is better than rigidity, and innovation trumps tradition. But this is difficult. This is the mischief of thought inertia. The era of Life-Genuine is on the horizon. Humanity's collective consciousness must rise. Those who do not harmonize with the main theme of the times or resonate with the ideals of the new era will face significant risks of elimination and purification. If one does not swiftly adapt their thinking and remains entangled in the old nests of nation, religion, political party, and family, struggling in exhaustion against the turbulent waves, what will the outcome be? As they see others marching forward with vitality toward the highest realms of life and existence and observe the tsunami approaching, yet remain stationary, muttering in confusion or helplessness, can they find a way out? Everyone has a side that is kind, and everyone yearns for a beautiful life. Yet many have never realized that their own suffering and backwardness are entirely the result of their thought inertia. Habit becomes nature. Everyone has laziness and a parasitic mindset seeking easy gains. However, The way of heaven rewards diligence, and the tides will sift the sands. Today's river is not yesterday's river, and tomorrow's earth will not be today's earth. China's Great Wall cannot block the winds from the west, and old vessels cannot contain new wine. To avoid being eliminated and purified by the tides of the times, one must reduce thought inertia, swiftly adapt their thinking to the changes of the era, let go of the self, abandon ego, and resonate with the thoughts and consciousness of the new era, experiencing a rebirth and bravely entering an entirely new epoch. 秀才不出门, the scholar stays home. 写评. The ancients said, a scholar may not leave his home, yet he knows the affairs of the world. Laozi said, without leaving home, one can know the world. Without peering through the window, one can see the way of heaven. The farther one travels, the less one understands. Therefore, the sage knows without acting, sees without looking, and accomplishes without doing. This is quite fascinating. Sitting in front of a computer connected to the internet, one can almost know everything happening in the world. Without traveling, one can appreciate the beauty of the world. Without going to the cinema, one can watch films. Without attending concerts, one can listen to beautiful melodies and singers' voices. Without meeting face-to-face, one can chat freely. Without rushing about, one can complete transactions. Without going to the post office, one can instantly send messages to others. Without visiting the library, one can read a vast range of books. Without searching high and low, one can admire the naked beauty of stunning women. Without physical contact, one can make love with the person they desire. One can not only know the world without leaving home, but also gain from it. Marvelous. The farther one travels, the less one knows suggests that the farther one rushes outward, the less one actually learns, which seems to contradict the saying, read thousands of books and travel thousands of miles. So, which perspective is correct? Read 10,000 books, and your writing will flow with divine inspiration, and by traveling extensively, one learns about shortcuts. This advice, however, is aimed at the general populace. I agree with Laozi's perspective. If one can awaken their spiritual awareness, they can understand that autumn arrives from the fall of a single leaf, and with closed eyes, they can travel thousands of miles in an instant. If one lets their thoughts constantly rush outward, they will be trapped in the monotonous phenomena of the external world, exhausting both body and mind. In the end, after traversing mountains and valleys, one will gain nothing beyond knowledge and experience. I don't know where Bodhidharma went during his 9 years of facing the wall, but throughout history, meditation has allowed people to enter the realm of the non-material. In the depths of stillness, the mind can traverse the tunnels of time and space, soaring freely. One can enjoy the beautiful sights of the heavens and envision limitless futures. Such experiences are inaccessible to those whose minds are absorbed in the constant hustle and bustle of the outside world. The sage knows without acting. Without television, radio, computers, the internet, newspapers, magazines, or hearsay, how can one know without going out? Wouldn't one become like a frog at the bottom of a well? Certainly not. For Laozi is not speaking about ordinary people, but about sages. For the average person, they must strive to act, as only through action can knowledge be gained. Otherwise, they would remain ignorant. But for sages, they already know. When an apple ripens, it will fall. Water naturally flows downhill. Without cultivation, humans will inevitably succumb to, when one is full and warm, lustful desires arise. When one is hungry and cold, thoughts of theft emerge. The seasons will inevitably change. If men remain unmarried and women unwed, they will inevitably resort to petty crimes or illicit affairs. Otherwise, they will be consumed by their desires. Fish will swim in the water. By grasping one concept, one can infer many others. There's no need to act or personally verify everything. The sage sees without looking. A philosopher once said, "I see more clearly when I close my eyes." Indeed, what one sees may be deceptive, and looking may only lead to confusion. Distance tests a horse's strength, and time reveals a person's heart. Does that mean what we see initially is not the true nature? Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. What appears as form is actually emptiness, and what we cannot see, the emptiness is actually form. Imagine a person from birth to death. Must they not walk the same path trodden by those before them, eating the same food? Despite countless variations, the essence does not change. Whether calm or tempestuous, it is still water. In the Tathagata Buddha's palm, heaven's net is vast, and though its meshes are wide, nothing escapes it. There is no need to look. One understands without looking. I may be occasionally arrogant and tell someone, without my guidance, you will never escape the cave of the silken web. And whether they believe it or not, their path is as obvious as lice on a bald head, a clear truth. Seeing harms the mind, and cleverness obstructs one's understanding of the Tao. Where can one run? There is no escape. The sage accomplishes without doing. How strange. How can one accomplish anything without action? Can one expect a harvest in autumn if one has not sown seeds in spring? Can one obtain a university degree without attending school every day? Can a sumptuous meal suddenly appear on the table without effort? Can one acquire wealth without working or trading? Can one live as long as a pine tree on the southern mountain without exercise or health care? Accomplishing without action? This really leaves one scratching their head in confusion. Yet, upon reflection, there is truth in it. Lose in the east, gain in the west. The old man loses his horse, but it might be a blessing in disguise. Good fortune lies within bad, and bad fortune lurks within good. When you intentionally plant flowers, they may not bloom. When you accidentally plant willows, they grow into shade. Accomplishing without action, there may be divine protection in the unseen. A virtuous person who does not seek blessings will naturally receive them. A schemer who tries to avoid misfortune will find it instead. What good is cleverness? Rather than standing by the river envying the fish, it is wiser to go home and weave a net for oneself. Instead of pursuing with restless effort, it is wiser to find tranquility, allowing one's vision to extend far and one's heart to illuminate the true nature of things. Therefore, the Buddha said, all conditioned phenomena are like dreams, illusions, bubbles, and shadows. Like dew and lightning, thus should you view them. All sages and wise ones differ only in their practice of non-action. It seems the scholar does not leave his home for good reason. 拓展生命的空间, expanding the space of life. 写法, transcending the three realms, beyond the five elements. Migratory birds must migrate to survive. A tree that moves dies, while a person who moves thrives. Sitting at the bottom of a well, one knows little of the sky above. Without stepping out of the mountain valley, one cannot grasp the vastness of the grasslands. Without leaving the human realm, one cannot understand the life of heaven. Stubbornly defending Jinzhou till death leads to entrapment. Retreating from Maiqing in defeat highlights the necessity to adapt and move forward. Plants and animals know they must expand their living space, and humans should do the same. Even the simplest person in the countryside knows that sending their children to the city is the only way to break free from the constraints of land. No matter how close siblings may be, if they remain cramped together for too long, resentment will inevitably grow. Even lovers who swear, in heaven, we wish to become birds and fly together. On earth, we wish to grow as two trees with intertwined branches, will find their passion dull if they confine themselves, ultimately holding hands while feeling like, my left hand holds my right hand. Like flowing water that stays fresh and a door hinge that never rusts, constant movement prevents decay. Rigid thinking is like a dead tree, lifeless and unchanging. Life is a journey. One cannot linger in a pleasure garden. Only by braving 81 trials can one obtain the true sutra. Looking back at the past, whether crossing mountains and rivers or enjoying fragrant flowers under the moonlight, it is the richness and diversity of life that can comfort our existence. A blank sheet of paper, with no words written and no green leaves drawn, holds no value. There is fire in wood, and if it is not ignited, it will eventually rot and decay. How shameful and regrettable! Isolation and a closed society lead to ignorance, backwardness, and infighting. Shutting off one's feelings and heart breeds unreasonable and erratic behavior. Rigid thinking restricts one's perspective, limiting their view of the world. Clinging to one's life space leads to depletion and aridity of existence. The size of your heart determines the vastness of the universe. The depth of your thinking expands the breadth of your life space. For the Life-Echanuan Celestials, our life space encompasses not just the human world, but also the thousand-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. For common people, however, there is only the human world, and it lasts only a few decades. Observing others' life spaces is akin to watching tadpoles wriggling in a small puddle, which may dry up at any moment, confronting the specter of death. How pitiful! How sad! We must expand our life space. In the article Escaping the Traps of Life, from the chapter of Wisdom, I have already discussed what life traps are and how to escape them. Once we escape the traps, how do we proceed? A person whose ancestors lived in a remote valley can only find a way out by listening to those who have traveled to the plains and cities, building relationships with them, and respecting them. They must be ready to seize the opportunity to courageously leave the valley when the time comes. If communication is cut off and there is no connection to the outside world, escaping becomes exceedingly difficult. In recent years, more and more people have left mainland China for places like North America, Europe, and Australia. These individuals have expanded their living space. We must ask, if they can leave, why can't we? The reason is that they understand the outside world and are always prepared to leave. Once they establish contact with friends and family or other channels outside, they can immediately leap through the Dragon Gate, metaphorically achieving great success, and swim across the Pacific Ocean. Some people are quite shrewd. They live in mainland China yet invest in properties in North America and Australia, laying the groundwork for a backup. If famine strikes China, they can swiftly pack their bags and take flight because they have already expanded their living space. Such individuals are worth learning from. Mainland China emphasizes interpersonal relationships, while places like Taiwan focus on networks. I have discussed the 3 elements of changing one's destiny, and relationships, or networking, is one of them. Expanding our living space relies on these connections, but to ascend to higher realms of life, we must let go of earthly ties and connect with celestial beings. How do we interact with celestial beings? Where are they? When our heart is pure, celestial beings will arrive. Only when one's heart is pure will the celestial beings descend, and you will know where they are and who they are. Those who have settled in Life-Echanuan surely understand that today we are completely different from our former selves. Our living space has greatly expanded compared to the past when we lived in cramped 60-square-meter apartments. Now we reside in luxurious 1,000-square-meter villas. Some unfortunate souls have left Life-Echanuan, fearing the treacherous path of the guide, and have curled back into their original caves. It's a pity they do not reflect on their own value. How much money, power, or beauty do you possess that is worth deceiving? Is staying in a cave really safe? Wouldn't lying in a coffin buried underground be safer? Even if your painstakingly crafted cave is secure, where will you go in a few decades? We must expand our life space, and the best way to do this is to start with our thinking. Where our thoughts go, our consciousness follows. Where our consciousness reaches, that is where our life will exist in the future. 寻求生命的最佳支点 Seeking the best fulcrum for life. Xiefeng, give me a fulcrum, and I can lift the earth. This famous quote from the ancient Greek scientist Archimedes speaks to the power of leverage. But can we truly lift the earth? According to the principle of leverage, when 2 weights are balanced, their distances from the fulcrum are inversely proportional to their weights. In other words, with just 1 kilogram of force, we could lift a 1,000-kilogram stone, provided the distance from the stone to the fulcrum is 1:1,000 relative to our hand's distance from the fulcrum. Some people become wealthy almost overnight, regardless of whether they achieved it through embezzlement, theft, robbery, deception, alchemy, printing money, contract transfers, or selling official titles. Their ingenuity lies in finding a lucrative fulcrum. Although everyone has the same 24 hours in a day, some can earn 10,000 yuan in that time, while others make only 10. This 1:1,000 difference ultimately comes down to the fulcrum. Going to school, starting a business, holding a government position, writing, and networking. At the root, all of these activities are about finding the best fulcrum in life. Seeking the optimal fulcrum for life and existence is essential. A strong fulcrum allows us to move 1,000 pounds with just 4 ounces, whereas a weak one leads only to an ox struggling to pull a cart. For example, two brothers once made a living by selling water to a parched mountain village. Initially, both earned similar incomes by carrying water down from the mountain. 2 years later, however, the elder brother became prosperous while the younger brother went bankrupt. The reason was that while the younger brother only knew how to carry water, the elder brother ingeniously used bamboo pipes to bring water directly from the source to the village. During the gold rush in the American West, one person found wealth by making cowboy workwear, a different approach to the same goal. Farmers use land as their fulcrum, workers rely on labor, teachers on classroom instruction, pickpockets on other people's wallets, wives on their husbands, husbands on their families, small business owners on their shops, large business owners on their companies, spiritual leaders on their followers, and kings on their people. Everyone has a fulcrum. The principle of leverage in life is to achieve maximum results with minimal time, effort, and investment. Jesus warned us, even if one gains the whole world but loses their life, what good is it? If we ignore the fulcrums of life, rushing back and forth only to ultimately lose our lives, we incur an enormous loss. We must seek the best fulcrum for life, so that when others are forced to struggle for mere survival, we are already leisurely enjoying the joys of life in paradise. So, where is the best fulcrum for life? At present, the 3 best fulcrums for life are Buddha Shakyamuni, Christ Jesus, and Life Genuine. Buddha provides us with a vessel that sails directly to the other shore of life. Christ offers us an unending stream of living water, energy. Life Genuine gives us the roadmap to heaven, the way of life, the way of the greatest creator. These 3 fulcrums form a life cosmos composed of structure, energy, and consciousness. In this world, there are countless religious and spiritual groups, each acting as a fulcrum for life. However, determining which one is the best is a matter of personal judgment. By applying the principle of leverage, achieving the perfect life structure with minimal effort and in the shortest possible time, one can find the best fulcrum. Life is short, with little time to waste going from house to house, strolling through markets, or watching spectacles. Quickly seek out the best fulcrum for life. If you can invest a sesame seed and gain a large watermelon in return, it would be foolish not to seize such an opportunity. With the right fulcrum, you can journey from the human world to the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. 从心所欲不逾矩. Follow your heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. 写法. At 15, I set my heart on learning. At 30, I took my stand. At 40, I had no doubts. At 50, I understood the heaven's mandate. At 60, I was attuned to the world. At 70, I could follow my heart's desires without overstepping the boundaries of what is right. This is Confucius's theory of the stages of life. Today, while watching Professor Yu Dan from Beijing Normal University on CCTV's 100 Schools Forum, discussing the way of life in the Analects, I found it exhilarating. Professor Yu spoke brilliantly. However, it seemed that due to time constraints, she didn't go into depth about the phrase, follow your heart's desires without overstepping the rules. It felt like a delicious peach was just out of reach. What a pity. So, I humbly take the liberty to expand on what Professor Yu touched upon. Following one's heart essentially means to act according to one's desires. The highest state of this is acting in accordance with one's nature. However, this freedom is not the same as acting recklessly. It comes with the prerequisite of not overstepping boundaries. The word overstep means to surpass or exceed, while boundaries refer to a standard, measure, or law. Therefore, following one's heart's desires without overstepping boundaries means acting freely within established limits. What are these boundaries? They include the way of heaven, the natural law, state laws and regulations, the rules and regulations of organizations, the principles of benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and trustworthiness, basic morality, customs, and the interests of society and others. Thus, the meaning of following one's heart's desires without overstepping boundaries is that one may speak, act, or think freely as long as it does not harm others or society, violate customs, disrupt organizational rules, break the constitution or laws of the state. For party members, the party's discipline. For believers, the rules of their faith. For children and spouses, family rules, etc., or go against the way of heaven and nature. Furthermore, it means adhering to the daily conduct expected of a gentleman within the scope of virtue, morality, benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, trustworthiness, loyalty, filial piety, modesty, patience, and humility. By the time one reaches 70, they should ideally have attained the state of following one's heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. This was the realm Confucius strove for throughout his life. His teachings encourage becoming a gentleman because, as he said, it is only the petty man and woman who are difficult to nurture. However, Confucius's teachings also have a side that can numb human nature. If everyone in society followed Confucius's ideal standards, we would indeed have a society where gentlemen show loyalty to their rulers, fathers are kind to their children, brothers love their younger siblings, husbands are harmonious with their wives, and all people care for one another. A natural, harmonious, peaceful, and tranquil society, free of conflict. But the problem is that if everyone becomes like sheep and a wolf emerges, all the sheep will be in danger and helpless to resist. The more virtuous a person, the more they may suffer, while those with fewer scruples often gain. By his later years, Confucius had realized the potential harm of his teachings, leading him to lament, "If in the morning I hear the way, in the evening I can die content." Though Confucius did not advocate belief in supernatural forces, he still yearned for the way. He called Laozi a divine dragon, whose head can be seen but not its tail, acknowledging his own inferiority and feeling the need to look up to him. So, it might be better to learn from Laozi than from Confucius. How do you feel about this interpretation of following one's heart's desires without overstepping boundaries? My own feeling can be summed up as simply overwhelming. To understand the way of heaven, natural laws, constitutional laws, party rules and regulations, local customs, morality, virtue, benevolence, righteousness, human rights, and so forth requires an immense amount of knowledge. Without this understanding, one is bound to overstep boundaries, and the effort can be utterly exhausting. So, what should we do? The answer is, revere the greatest creator, revere life, respect nature, follow the way of the greatest creator, accept circumstances as they come, adapt to situations, act according to one's nature, and seize opportunities as they arise. In doing so, whatever you do will be right, whatever you say will be correct, and whatever you think will be appropriate. This is what is meant by good remains good, even if it appears evil. Evil remains evil, even if it appears good. Thus, one can keep the core principle while adapting to changes, and in this way, you can follow your heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. From the various constitutional laws set by the United Nations to the national laws of different countries, to the multitude of rules and regulations in society, laws are becoming more numerous and detailed, yet the world grows increasingly complex and filled with problems. Experience has shown that only by following the way of the greatest creator can humanity achieve the ideal society in the simplest and most effective manner. Confucius might serve well as a teacher for elementary school students, Laozi for high school, Buddha as a university professor, and Jesus for guiding graduate students. Meanwhile, Life Genuine embodies the true state of following one's heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. Life Genuine has no rules or regulations. Its members have no responsibilities or obligations, and there is no one issuing commands. Yet, Life Genuine is harmonious, peaceful, and stable. Its members are motivated, strive for self-improvement, and form close-knit relationships, even willing to sacrifice for each other. If humanity as a whole could live this way, wouldn't we be entering paradise? Don't wait until you're 70 or 80 to follow your heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. Start now, even at the age of 7 or 8. 返老还童第一步. The first step to returning to youth. 谢ፌ. Christ Jesus, who saves our souls, warns us, unless you turn and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Buddha Shakyamuni advises that if you still carry the appearance of longevity, you cannot become a bodhisattva. The celestial Laozi guides us to return to our roots and revert to infancy. He said, "What is strong will grow old. This is not the way, and that which is not the way soon ends." He also taught, "Aggressors do not die natural deaths." I consider this a teaching. If fortunate enough to visit the heavenly realm of the thousand-year world, you'll find that the celestials there almost all resemble children, with pure, beautiful hearts, playful yet embodying the highest goodness, mischievous yet authentic, wise yet simple, carefree yet caring. Wudong Master Zhang Sanfeng's famous saying is, "Going with the flow makes one ordinary. Going against the flow makes one immortal." This is the reversal within the Tao. The teachings of gods, Buddhas, celestials, saints, and Xiefeng's insights from Life Genuine reveal a truth. If you wish to enter the kingdom of heaven, you must first become like a child. What should be the aim of our cultivation and practice? The answer is, return to youth and revert to the state of infancy. Please note that returning to youth does not mean our bodies should become those of children again. Rather, it signifies that our spiritual essence should return to the heart and mind of a child. We should not be bound by the appearance of longevity and should not think that because we are in our 40s or 50s, we cannot play, cry, or have childish fits. The first step to returning to youth is to strive for purity, authenticity, naturalness, and spontaneity. Who isn't afraid of wild lions and tigers? Would you fear them? Now, if they were lion cubs or tiger cubs, would you still be afraid? I once saw a scene at Lion Park in Harare where people, both adults and children, happily and affectionately petted several lion cubs. The cubs were playful and endearing. No one was afraid. Why? Because the cubs are pure. Have you heard the story of the wolf children? Babies raised by wolves. Would you dare to go to a wolf's den to be raised by wolves? Why not? Because the babies are pure, while you have lost that purity. There is a story in the Bible where 3 men are thrown into a furnace and are not burned. Why were they unharmed? Because they were pure. Laozi said, "I have heard that those who excel at preserving life do not encounter rhinos or tigers on land, nor are they harmed by weapons in battle. The rhino finds no place for its horn, the tiger no place for its claws, and weapons find nothing to cut." Can you become invisible? No, right? Why? Because you are no longer pure. Your desires cloud your thoughts. Why can't children become invisible? Because they lack that desire. When a child sees someone eating an apple, they immediately call out, "Mom, Mom, I want an apple too." But adults, even if drooling inside, pretend to be indifferent. Why? Because children are authentic, while adults are hypocritical. When a child is sad, they cry. When hungry, they shout. Adults, however, say, "Real men don't shed tears," or "You must have self-control." Why? Because children are real and adults are false. When someone sees a beautiful woman, they may instinctively look twice and say, "She's beautiful." Others may feel an itch, wishing to take her as a second wife, yet sarcastically mock that person for their lack of taste, calling them superficial. Why? Because the first person is genuine, while the second is hypocritical. As long as what you feel does not match what you say and do, you are not genuine. When it snows, little Mau Mau and Jiajia next door play joyfully in the snow, even touching Jiajia's rosy cheeks, 2 innocent children. But who has seen old Zhang next door playing joyfully with Auntie? Would old Zhang dare touch Auntie's cheeks? This shows the difference between following one's nature and not. Children act naturally, while adults are bound by societal morals, unable to act freely. No matter how distinguished the guests at home, if a child is tired, they'll simply sleep. So natural. But adults won't. Even with drooping eyelids, they insist, "I'm not tired. I'm not tired." Unnatural. In short, if we maintain purity, authenticity, spontaneity, and naturalness, we are returning to youth. Childhood is joyous and happy. Middle and old age are less so. So why not return to youth? Imagine a pond that continually receives fresh water and drains from the other side. It will never dry up and will stay fresh. Without fresh water, it will stagnate or flood. Childhood is like the fresh pond with inflow and outflow. Middle and old age are like a stagnant pond that grows foul. By maintaining our pure, authentic, spontaneous, and natural nature, we stay connected to the fresh source of life. Holding on to old views and resisting new ones is like blocking that source, causing life to wither and making it harder to return to youth. Those who speak freely and openly, saying what they think, just as they think it, are people with a childlike heart. They are lovable people and are more likely to enter the heavenly kingdom. But those who are deeply scheming, vigilant from every angle, with everything they say perfectly calculated and without a trace of error, these people can be intimidating. It's hard to know what they are truly thinking, and while they may be exceptionally clever, they are far from the kingdom of heaven. Let's imagine this scenario. If you were the manager of the heavenly kingdom, what kind of people would you admit into its society? 化矛盾于无形, resolving contradictions in the invisible. 写评. Low intelligence stirs trouble, moderate intelligence competes, great intelligence appears foolish, and supreme intelligence is formless. Wherever there is noise and conflict, it is a gathering place for those of low intelligence. In places filled with competition, people of moderate intelligence are vying for dominance. In communities where simplicity and harmony with nature prevail, great minds are quietly strategizing. And in nations marked by peace and prosperity, the true masters remain unseen, metaphorically playing with mud. The signs of low intelligence are as follows. Couples who frequently argue, causing distress to neighbors and friends, both display low intelligence regardless of the reason for their quarrels. Siblings and friends who bicker publicly show signs of low intelligence. The U.S. invasion of Iraq, Iran's uranium enrichment, and North Korea's nuclear testing are all actions stemming from low intelligence. Those who write provocatively online to draw attention are also demonstrating low intelligence. People who drift aimlessly, unfocused, and impatient are likewise of low intelligence. The signs of moderate intelligence are as follows. Those who engage in intense competition, whether rising to prominence or facing defeat, in fields like politics, business, war, romance, gambling, or sports, demonstrate moderate intelligence. Officials and celebrities of all types fall within this realm. Anyone who finds joy in competition, winning and losing, or contests, is a person of moderate intelligence. The signs of great intelligence appearing foolish are as follows. Nobel Prize winners, masters in various fields, and philosophers generally display great intelligence that may seem foolish to others. Such individuals stand at a height and view life from a broader perspective. They are unmoved by trivial gains or immediate disputes and assess situations with long-term vision. Once they decide on a path, they don't turn back unless they have no choice, which can make them appear somewhat foolish. The signs of supreme intelligence being formless are as follows. The greatest creator manages the universe without form. The laws of physics discovered by scientists operate invisibly. The laws of nature, the workings of Tao, and the ways saints resolve conflicts, all of these occur without form. Resolving contradictions in the invisible. The most skilled doctors do not treat diseases directly. They prevent illnesses from arising, curing sickness at its root, invisibly. The most adept generals do not command armies. They turn enemies into friends, rendering armies unnecessary, achieving victory invisibly. The wisest kings do not govern by laws. They govern the hearts of their people, ruling invisibly. The best merchants do not merely trade. They cultivate relationships, gathering talent to themselves, accumulating wealth invisibly. The most capable officials do not publicly wield power. They empower others, orchestrating everything from behind the scenes, governing invisibly. The wisest scholars do not simply study. They attain enlightenment by understanding the books without words. They grasp what others can and cannot, attaining wisdom in the formless realm. Life Genuine seeks to unify all teachings, allowing nations, religions, political parties, and families to dissolve, ushering in humanity's long-desired Life Genuine era. Can anyone detect such changes? Practitioners seeking the Tao must resolve all contradictions invisibly, starting with balance, balancing relationships, mental and psychological states, and physiological harmony. Avoid contention, arguments, disturbances, fighting, obsession, and extremism. In daily life, attend to your responsibilities, respond swiftly to emergencies, and handle relationships thoughtfully, whether with superiors, subordinates, family members, or neighbors. Show respect when required and maintain humility when needed. Avoid disputes, remain calm, and wait for the right moment to resolve disharmonies invisibly, allowing everything to unfold naturally. What is the secret to resolving myriad contradictions invisibly? The answer lies in thought. Thinking is a form of spiritual power, an invisible force. Use this invisible power to resolve all visible conflicts and contradictions. 最容易获得的最珍贵 The most easily obtained is the most precious. Xiefeng. Heaven has a benevolent nature that cherishes life, and a noble person has a heart to help others achieve good. The earth nurtures all things, and the way of heaven governs and transforms everything. The strong have their paths, and the weak have their roles. The weak, like earthworms, are well provided for, while the strong, like tigers and leopards, may meet their demise halfway. The grace of heaven bathes all living beings. Reflecting on the vastness of the universe and feeling the nurturing of the sacred spirit, one contemplates in silence, holding gratitude in their heart. The most easily obtained is often the most precious. Fish swim in water. Without it, there would be no fish. Humans breathe in air. Without it, they perish. Air is the most precious and the easiest to acquire. A person can live without gold or silver, just as a horse can run without a copper saddle. Air arrives effortlessly at our mouths and noses, allowing us to breathe with ease. Water flows through both sky and earth, incredibly precious, yet easily accessible. Salt, abundant and immeasurably valuable, is easily obtainable. Sunlight, shining upon all things, is extraordinarily precious and the easiest to acquire. Parents, with their bonds of flesh and blood, are extremely precious, a gift received without effort. Indeed, it is a proven truth that the most easily obtained is often the most precious. This is a gift from the greatest Creator. We need to stay highly aware that everything that comes to us easily is precious. Praise and encouragement easily gained are valuable. Work easily obtained is precious. Love and friendship that come easily are priceless. Easily found paths are precious. Students, disciples, teachers, and mentors that come into our lives without effort are treasures. Life itself, easily obtained, is precious, and death, when it comes peacefully, is equally so. The great way is very simple, but people prefer shortcuts, said the sage Laozi. He meant that the flattest, easiest path embodies the essence of the great way. Yet, people often abandon what is close for what is distant, forsake what is easy for what is difficult, and overlook the most ordinary things while chasing the extraordinary. Laozi criticized this as not the way. It is not the great path, but a misguided one. People tend to have a cognitive bias in their thinking. They often ignore what's close and undervalue what they already have, placing greater importance on things far away, things they have not yet attained, or things that are hard to acquire. For example, we often take siblings for granted, spending energy to befriend strangers instead. This is a mistake. We should first cherish and value the relationships that are close and easily found. Distant relatives are less valuable than nearby neighbors, and neighborly relationships are crucial. They deserve our care and respect. People in Jesus and Buddha's hometowns did not appreciate them, reflecting a common cognitive bias. In China, it's not unusual to look down on close friends or colleagues who achieve greatness while applauding strangers. Chinese people who succeed may be viewed with skepticism, while foreigners who succeed are celebrated. The living are criticized, but the dead are lauded. This is all due to biased thinking. In seeking the Tao, if wise individuals are nearby, we should first learn from them and take them as mentors, rather than traveling thousands of miles in search of a teacher. Every small event around us is part of the Tao and reveals divine insight. We should seek understanding from these small events, rather than exhausting ourselves on lengthy classics. Doing good deeds should start with those around us, without feeling we must go far or abroad to share teachings. Eating, dressing, sleeping, and walking contain profound wisdom. There is no need to start with the works of ancient Greek philosophers. The most easily obtained is the most precious. A humble pot can surpass gold and jade. Searching downward is easier than searching upward. It's far easier to form a close friendship with a shepherd than with a celebrity or a governor. In the Life of Genuine community, it's easy to find kindred spirits and connect with Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. This is exceptionally precious and deserves our respect and care. We should not think that what is easily obtained lacks value. On the contrary, the most easily obtained is the most precious. We should see it as a gift from heaven and consider this principle as a treasure for life. In the chapter of Revelation, I have written about the principle of least resistance. Laozi teaches that great tasks are accomplished through small steps, and difficult tasks are achieved through ease. If we approach our endeavors by following the principle of least resistance, viewing what is easily obtained as the most precious, our lives will become clearer, simpler, more relaxed, and fulfilling. Resistance will transform into motivation, and suffering will turn into happiness. Give it a try. 神奇的第一次. The magical first time. Xiefeng. Have you ever noticed this phenomenon? The first time you meet someone, the first time you interact with them, or the first time you observe them doing something. If they leave a good impression, all subsequent interactions tend to go smoothly. However, if they leave a bad impression, no matter how much time passes, you will always feel that your interactions with them are fraught with difficulties and obstacles. I once hired a carpenter to make some furniture. The first time he sawed a board, he cut it crookedly. A shadow of doubt passed through my mind, but I thought it might be a momentary lapse. However, what followed was unforgettable. He was careless and inefficient, ultimately wasting my materials, time, and energy. From that moment, I learned that if the first impression is negative, I must immediately cut ties. There's no use dragging things out. The first time I interacted with a friend's acquaintance, I noticed his eyes wandered and occasionally flashed a cunning look. I had a twinge of doubt, but continued the interaction. Later, I asked him for help with 2 small tasks, and both times he tried to outsmart me and did something sneaky. Since then, I've realized the importance of first impressions. If the feeling is good, continue. If the feeling is bad, stop immediately. Looking back, many of life's disappointments arise because we ignore the signals people send during our first encounter. If we observe carefully, every first encounter is like a revelation, telling us whether to continue or break ties. If your first visit to a place leaves you unhappy or things don't go well, don't go back. If your first date with someone leaves you disappointed, don't keep dating them. If your first collaboration with someone makes you feel hurt or upset, don't work with them again. The feelings from the first encounter are the most genuine, and the first impression is a sign from above. How we handle the information from our first experience determines whether our lives will be smooth or difficult. People or things that bring us joy during our first encounter are usually beneficial to us. We should treasure, keep, and nurture them. On the other hand, people or things that cause us pain or discomfort during our first encounter are usually detrimental, and we should immediately let them go. When dealing with first encounters, it's essential to trust yourself. This isn't about experience, wisdom, knowledge, age, or gender. It's about intuition and your true inner feelings. Don't rely on the advice or warnings of others, whether they are masters, scholars, great figures, friends, or elders. They can't feel what you feel in your heart. The signals that heaven gives us through first impressions are the most beneficial, the most accurate, and the most protective. You shouldn't rely on your own experience or wisdom to judge, but should listen to the insights and guidance of your feelings. Regularly ask yourself, does he or she or it make me feel comfortable? If the answer is yes, treasure it. Don't listen to others' evaluations, nor to the reminders of well-meaning people who say, I'm doing this for your own good. Only you know what you feel, others don't. We're often taught, unite with everyone who can be united, tolerate those with opposing views, be as inclusive as possible, believe people can change, and be patient. They'll come around. These are all misguided ideas. A person's transformation requires hundreds or thousands of years of cultivation, and patience belongs to the divine, not to us. We have only a few decades to live, and it's a painful waste to spend that time waiting for others to change. We should seek out people who bring joy and happiness to our lives. Why endure long-term mental torment and emotional abuse? Birds of a feather flock together. Ignorant people gather with ignorant people, worldly people with worldly people, mortals with mortals, sages with sages, and celestial beings with celestial beings. When they're together, even playing in the mud can be fun. But when sages are with worldly people, or celestial beings are with mortals, no matter what they do, it brings only suffering. Even if they're sharing love, it feels deeply uncomfortable. Everyone's life structure is different. Water and milk can mix, but water and oil can't. Pigs stay with pigs, sheep with sheep. People should be with those whose spirits resonate with theirs. Whether spirits resonate depends entirely on physiological and spiritual responses, and the best opportunity for that resonance occurs during the first observation or contact. That's why the first time can be called the magical first time. People fear loneliness and isolation, so they often compromise themselves to fit in with others, saying, "All right, I'll just go along with this." But pleasing others doesn't alleviate our loneliness. Instead, it leads to deeper helplessness and frustration. Life is only a few short decades. It's better to live one happy day than to endure 100 years of misery. It's better to die in a moment of joy than to live 1,000 years in humiliation. Trust that first impression. If it's good, cherish it and continue. If it's bad, cut ties and let it go. 异想天开玩玩特异功能. Whimsical fantasies, exploring extraordinary abilities. 写评. First, let me clarify, this is purely a game, so don't take it too seriously. The unconventional thinking theory of Life Genuine teaches us that nothing is impossible. There are only things we haven't thought of yet. There's nothing we cannot do. Only things that are beyond the limits of our current thinking. Our minds are often constrained by the thought processes of others, which keeps us ordinary. But when we engage in unconventional thinking, defying norms and letting our imaginations soar, we can break free from these constraints. We can transform into extraordinary beings, into incredible individuals who can follow their heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. Come, let's play with extraordinary abilities. Close your eyes and visualize a scene. You'll see a more vivid and clear picture. Trust your intuition to sense what tomorrow's weather will be like, what the person you're thinking of is doing at this moment, what your tomorrow and future will look like, who you might meet, and so on. Experiment for a month and observe the results. Let your heart guide your actions. Quietly listen to your inner voice. Amid the chaotic noise, you will hear a particularly clear sound. Follow its guidance and see what happens. Trust yourself. From your heart, summon a bird to fly to your window or a nearby tree, or call upon someone you've missed for a long time to appear before you or give you a surprise call. Sit on the floor with a cushion and focus on an object, trying to make it move. Take a spoon, concentrate, and try to bend it with your gaze. Try influencing someone nearby with your thoughts and see if they act according to your will. Plug your ears and listen for any ghostly or divine voices around you. Lie in bed, close your eyes, and imagine soaring into the sky. See if you can become invisible in an instant. Stand still and see if you can grab something several meters away with your hand. Stay in your room, close your eyes, and try to see what your neighbor is doing. Think of ways to turn water into wine and wine back into water. Focus on a specific person and see if you can dream about making love to them in the coming days. Close your eyes, stretch out your palms, and explore in all directions, sensing how your palms react to heat and cold. Or take a book, roll it up, and sense the warmth or cold it conveys. If a part of your body is ill, imagine it as perfect. Use your thoughts to expel impurities and infuse it with the essence of the sun, moon, and earth's energy. Keep this up for several days and observe the results. By changing your diet and mental state, you might notice that your gas and stool take on a unique fragrance, entirely free of any foul smell. Those interested can explore this phenomenon. From someone's gaze, demeanor, posture, tone, words, and speech, you can discern the beauty or ugliness of their soul, even their consciousness or the non-material structure of their life. Think about how you can achieve this. Isn't this fun? It's more entertaining than playing with mud or make-believe games. Playing mental games brings immense joy. As you play, you might discover more variations, gain a deeper understanding of the infinite, cherish life more, and step into a broader world. But remember, never play games that harm others for your own benefit. Thoughts are powerful forces, and careless actions can cause unseen harm. A single thought can become the straw that breaks the camel's back. It's essential to follow the teachings of Christ and Buddha, correcting your body and mind first, to attain a state of enlightenment. Straying from this path can turn you into a demon. Always guard your heart. In darkness, a guilty conscience is clearly seen by the divine eye, like lightning. This is why Life Genuine does not encourage the cultivation of extraordinary abilities. The above is just a whimsical game of thought. Don't take it too seriously, and don't become obsessed or lose yourself in it. 如如不动与随性而动, unshakable in following one's nature. 写法. The ultimate truth of the universe remains unshakable and unchanged for all eternity. Yet, all phenomena in the universe move in accordance with their nature, as they have done for eons. The way, Tao, is like the void, unmoving and unchanged through the ages. Yet, the profound truths of Zen adapt to the moment, always flowing with the present. Reverence for the greatest creator remains unshakable, regardless of how time changes, how complex the world becomes, or whether one finds themselves in favorable or adverse circumstances, in heaven or hell. Reverence for life remains unshakable, as all living beings arise from the same source. With empathy and compassion, we share in the joys and sorrows of all living creatures. Reverence for nature remains unshakable, as the sun, moon, stars, mountains, rivers, plants, animals, and insects all possess a spirit that sustains our lives. Filial piety toward parents remains unshakable, for their nurturing love is as vast as the sky and the earth. Whether you are close by or far away, in times of prosperity or hardship, their love endures. Adherence to laws and regulations remains unshakable, as they uphold order, reward goodness, and punish evil. A good citizen respects the laws of the land. Loving others as yourself remains unshakable, as taught by Jesus, Buddha, Laozi, and other wise sages. We are to love others as we love ourselves. Enjoying affection remains constant, whether between rulers and subjects, parents and children, spouses, lovers, siblings, or friends. Love, like water and flowers, is graceful and flowing. Enjoying sexual love remains constant, a divine and ecstatic gift. It is natural to love one another. This is heaven's law. Refining one's character remains unshakable, as there are 18 levels of human quality, each offering a different life experience. One should constantly strive to enhance their character. Perfecting one's life remains unshakable. People evolve from ignorance, worldliness, and mortality to becoming sages, land celestials, deity celestials, super celestial beings, and even gods or Buddhas. Continuous self-improvement leads to higher levels of existence. The universe is filled with a boundless heart, and all beings move in accordance with the way. Like a drop of water in the sea or a cloud in the sky, everything is precisely placed by the way. To follow the way, rely on intuition. True wisdom may appear foolish, and true intelligence is formless. Do not depend on experience or reason. Logical deductions will fail, and scientific experiments cannot prove everything. Instead, follow your nature. At a crossroads, follow your nature. Do not rely on intellect. Listen to the guidance of your inner spirit. When facing a dead end, follow your nature. Let your heart guide you, whether to go up, down, left, or right. The best solution may be to abandon rational thought. In matters of success and failure, follow your nature. Blessings may hide within misfortune, and misfortune within blessings. The greatest creator's arrangements are always in your best interest. When choosing a career, follow your nature. What comes most easily is the most precious. What flows naturally is meant for you. At the ends of the earth, follow your nature. Take a plane if it comes, a carriage if it comes. Root yourself wherever the wind blows and blossom there. At the moment of life and death, follow your nature. The way's arrangements are perfect, without error. The more you struggle, the more you suffer. In adversity, follow your nature. The way rewards and punishes clearly. Do not force yourself to exceed your limits. When confronting evil, follow your nature. Whether to fight or retreat like a turtle, listen to the voice of your spirit. Do not be led by anger or hatred. When facing the opposite sex, follow your nature. Attraction or repulsion arises naturally, and your body and mind will react accordingly. In advancing or retreating, follow your nature. Advancing in the wrong direction takes you further from the truth, while retreating in the right direction returns you to your true nature. Whether to advance or retreat, follow your nature. In matters of eating, drinking, and bodily needs, follow your nature. Whether sour, sweet, bitter, or spicy, vegetarian or meat, smoke or drink, embrace whatever comes naturally without force. In preferences and dislikes, follow your nature. Bees make honey, mice dig burrows. Just as humans exist at different levels, ignorant, worldly, mortal, or wise. Respect your nature and follow the way. At birth, our nature is set. Height, beauty, and talent are already determined. Birds fly in the sky, fish swim in the water. Lose your sense of place, and you may fall into madness. Do not envy the talented or covet the wealthy. Tend to your own field and live freely. Do not cling to possessions or dominate others. Enjoy bodily and spiritual freedom on the path to immortality. Eat fruit when you desire, visit relatives when you wish. Travel with the wind, retreat against it. Mind your own affairs and don't meddle in others. Go with the flow, adapt to fate, follow your nature, and act according to circumstances. Eat ripe peaches when they fall, taste apricots when they are ready. Forced fruit is never sweet, and forced paths are never smooth. In the quest to attain immortality, remain unshakable. Slowly but surely, water cuts through stone, and every drop has an effect. The divine eye is like lightning, and when the time comes, things will naturally come to fruition. In daily life, follow your nature. Be lively and flexible, revealing the universe's boundless vitality. Do not stubbornly cling to the past or outdated rules. Mountains move, rivers flow, and life thrives on movement. The pursuit and realization of the way depend on fluidity. There are no fixed methods or forms. In the endless change lies boundless joy. 必要时跟着感觉走. Follow your intuition when necessary. 写法. Humans have 6 senses: sight, hearing, taste, smell, touch, and spiritual perception. Intuition, often referred to as the sixth sense, is the most basic level of spiritual perception. On the afternoon of November 2nd, 2006, I suddenly felt uneasy. At that moment, I was concerned about my wife, who was on a bus traveling from XX to XX. My intuition told me that something serious was going to happen to the bus she was on. I immediately prayed to the greatest creator, Almighty God. My wife is incredibly important to me. Please don't let anything bad happen to the bus she is on. I beg you, God. Amen. My wife arrived home safely. After she walked into the living room, I asked her how the trip had gone and if anything had happened about 80 kilometers from XX. She said, about 70 to 80 kilometers from XX, the tire blew out. I asked for more details, and she explained. It was really dangerous. I had been sitting right above the tire that exploded, but all of a sudden, I started to feel anxious and uncomfortable, so I moved to a seat in front. About 10 minutes later, there was a loud bang, and the tire under my original seat exploded. It blew a big hole under the seat, and even the metal flew off. Initially, I thought the bus would flip over, but instead, the rear right tire burst. Fortunately, my wife moved away just in time. There weren't many passengers on the bus, and there was even a newlywed couple. This story is true, and anyone interested can verify it. Now, let's consider this phenomenon. Why did I suddenly feel uneasy and immediately pray to God? And more importantly, why did my wife suddenly feel anxious and change her seat without any apparent reason? This is a kind of feeling, and both my wife and I acted on it. Of course, the credit goes to the greatest creator. A similar incident once occurred in the United States. The police were trying to locate a criminal and had narrowed it down to one of 3 areas, but they couldn't pinpoint the exact location. A seasoned detective, deep in thought, stared at a map and suddenly pointed to a spot, saying, "The criminal is right here." The police moved in, and sure enough, they caught the criminal at the spot the detective had indicated. When asked how he knew, the detective replied, "No reason. My intuition told me." In late 1998, an article titled, "Based on Intuition, I Concluded He Was Innocent," was published in the Procuratorate Daily. It told the story of Mr. Thomas, a juror in a child molestation case. Initially, he gave in to the opinions and pressure of other jurors, reluctantly voting for a guilty verdict. However, he couldn't shake the feeling that the verdict was wrong, which tormented him. Eventually, this frugal elderly man used his own money to hire a lawyer to appeal the case for the defendant, Cherwak, who had already been sentenced to 10 years in prison. The appellate court overturned the original verdict, and later, the alleged victim retracted their accusation, leading to Cherwak's release. Thomas became a local hero, praised for his conscience and courage. When people asked why he did it, Thomas said it was simply his intuition. Even though the 13-year-old victim had made accusations and the defendant had failed a polygraph test, he felt intuitively that it was a carefully arranged scheme, and that the 13-year-old boy had fabricated the charges to prevent his mother from marrying the defendant. In another case, a man was identified as a major suspect in a murder investigation, and all the available evidence seemed to incriminate him. However, a chance encounter led the investigating officer to witness the man making every effort to help an injured child. At that moment, the officer had a strong intuition that the man was innocent. He believed that someone so caring could not possibly commit such a brutal act against another person. Supported by this conviction, he conducted a more thorough investigation, eventually uncovering evidence that proved the man's innocence, leading to his exoneration. It is said that Socrates once made a bet with a group of nobles, claiming he could get an uneducated young slave to articulate knowledge he had never learned. In front of everyone, Socrates engaged the 8-year-old slave in a dialogue, and astonishingly, the child was able to state the Pythagorean theorem. Socrates used this instance to illustrate that human wisdom is already hidden within each person's heart. The key is how to bring it to the surface. Gauss, known as the Prince of Mathematicians, displayed remarkable intuition at a young age. When he was 10, his math teacher, Mr. Butner, assigned the class the following problem: 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 97 plus 98 plus 99 plus 100 equals? As soon as the teacher explained the problem, Gauss quickly sent his slate with the answer to the front of the classroom. The teacher, without even looking at it, assumed that the youngest student had either submitted a blank sheet or written down random numbers. It was not until much later that another student brought the answer up to the teacher. When Mr. Butner reviewed the answers, he was shocked to find that Gauss's answer was 50-50, while the others were incorrect. Mr. Butner, an experienced teacher, recognized that this was no ordinary event. After class, he bought a top-notch arithmetic book and gave it to Gauss, telling him, "You have surpassed me. There is nothing more I can teach you." This story is well known, but if we reflect calmly, it is astounding that a 10-year-old child, without any prior knowledge of summing sequences, could compute the answer so quickly and accurately. The reason lies not just in his strong foundation in mathematics, but also in his exceptional intuitive reasoning ability. The Russian chemist Mendeleev spent a long time researching the relationships between chemical elements, but was struggling to create the periodic table. He had everything planned out in his mind, but he just couldn't get the table to come together. After 3 sleepless nights of intense thought, he collapsed on his desk and fell asleep. Unexpectedly, while dreaming, he saw the various elements perfectly arranged in their rightful places on the table. Upon waking, Mendeleev quickly jotted down the table he had envisioned in his dream, later discovering that it only needed one minor correction. Someone humorously remarked, "Let's go to sleep with our problems in mind." Former U.S. President George W. Bush once told the renowned journalist Bob Woodward that intuition was a key reason behind his decision to go to war in Iraq, saying, "I believe in intuition. I act on instinct." Plato referred to intuition as the eye of the soul. Prince Charles of England once said, Deep within each of us lies our instinctual intuition. If we trust it, it can provide us with most of the reliable guidance we need in life. Intuition has several characteristics. Instantaneity. It does not require a series of complex reasoning processes, but instead involves a sudden, intuitive insight into the characteristics or even essence of a matter. Sensitivity. It can perceive certain intrinsic elements from complex phenomena, capturing the essence of things. Non-logicality. It does not rely on concepts as intermediaries for judgment and does not require logical processes of concepts, judgments, and reasoning. Instead, it rapidly projects the intuitive recognition pattern onto the object of recognition, generating an impression. Intuition tells me that this person is dishonest. What's the reason? There is no reason. I feel that this journey won't go smoothly. Why? For no reason. I feel like I've been to this place before. Really? When? I can't quite say. I feel like I've seen this person before. Where? When? I can't be sure. I have a good feeling about this place. What exactly do you mean? I can't quite explain. I just have a good feeling. Sometimes, feelings can be so real that they overshadow countless plans or rigorous logical reasoning. Knowledge, experience, and wisdom can sometimes seem insignificant in the face of intuition. I encourage everyone, whether it's about making friends, choosing a career or workplace, traveling, or predicting the future, to first take a moment to feel it out and, if necessary, follow your intuition. The Great Way, Tao, and the Small Path. Xiefeng. Life walks the great way, while human experience walks the small path. One cannot logically walk two paths at once. How can a person walk on two roads simultaneously? Limited understanding leads to confused thinking, which in turn leads to disordered consciousness, ultimately resulting in a failed life. A life without an ultimate goal, no matter how glorious, is ultimately a failure. A life that has not experienced joy, no matter how many merits are achieved, is ultimately meaningless. The best life is one that not only enjoys a rich and colorful journey, but also elevates life to higher dimensional realms. When we understand the principles of life, master its mysteries, and steadfastly walk the great way of life, our minds and eyes are opened, allowing us to enjoy life playfully. When we know the value and meaning of life and understand that life is merely a journey for life, we can go with the flow, act naturally, and happily express